We're going to switch back to English because now we have a senior consumer advice editor for Edmunds.com, Phil Reed. How are you, Phil?
Oh, I'm great. Good to be with you.
Thank you very much for taking the time. And as I was saying in the little intro there in Spanish, this is a very useful and practical list of tips because people still do make a lot of mistakes while buying for a new car, huh?
Oh, absolutely. By focusing on the mistakes, it will point you in the right direction. So we had kind of fun compiling a number of mistakes that people make, and we kind of researched all the editors here at Edmunds. We work with car shoppers all the time, so we think this is a pretty useful list.
Yeah. Once I saw a while ago a story that's saying that people who do their homework and research sometimes visit as much as many as 18 websites, which also can be overwhelming, confusing. What's the point on that?
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. I mean, and at Edmunds, we like to think that we're the only site that you need to visit, and we have everything that you need. But people do bounce around on the internet. There's absolutely, no question about that. And it begins to all kind of swim together in your mind. So we don't necessarily recommend that. And I just want to say up front, it doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be stressful if you know what you're doing. So yeah. That was one of the reasons that we covered these points. So,
but that step, like doing the homework, like researching online, that's absolutely one of the things that people should do.
Yeah, what I really like to tell people, I try to avoid using the word homework because nobody likes doing homework. What I like to do is motivate people by saying, if you spend even 1 hour doing research before you go to a dealership, you may have saved yourself as much as $1,000 to $2,000.
Oh, I like that.
So that's time well spent. The most important thing when you're doing the research, of course, you can learn a lot about the cars, but one of the really important things is pricing information.
Yeah.
You need to get kind of like a firm foundation about understanding what the prices are that you're going to encounter on the car lot. And most importantly, it's really important to understand what is a good price, what's a good deal, so that when you get into that territory, you won't be guessing. It will be informed on market research.
Yeah, one of the points of the list that published by Edmunds.com about this is just that, about don't focus on the monthly payment, right? Because especially advertisement makes a big deal out of that, but that might not be a good thing for you.
Absolutely, and it can be very misleading. For example, in leasing, they very often will say, well, you can lease this car for $199 a month. Well, they haven't included the tax, title, and license. So it's going to be at least 10% more than that, plus they could be doing it on a base level car. So you have to understand all of those things. And the monthly payment is kind of a favorite tool used by car salespeople to get you to agree to a deal that may or may not be good. The key is that it's hard to tell what the big picture is by focusing on the monthly payment. So that's one of the reasons that we say that a mistake that people make is focusing too much on the monthly payment.
Is it true that formula about saying that for $1,000 more that you put on the down payment, you reduce your monthly payment by at least around $100?
I haven't actually heard that formula. It sounds right, but of course it would depend upon the car.
Yeah.
On our site we have financial calculators for leasing, buying, and all those things. And I highly recommend that you go there and play around with it because it will bring in sales tax, it will bring in DMV fees estimated, so you can get pretty close to what you should be paying for the car. Plus, it will pull in what we call the average price paid for the vehicle. We sometimes call it the true market value price.
Yeah.
So once you pull those things in, it's almost as if you're sitting in a dealership talking to the finance and insurance manager about what you're really going to pay. Plus, you can print that and bring it to the dealership so that once you start running the numbers for real, you can have a frame of reference.
Yeah, and I also think that the actual salesman appreciates that because that saves him time too, right? And he can, if he does a quick sell with you, he can go and do another one, and that's money for him too.
Yeah, well, that's quite true for the enlightened salespeople. The enlightened car salespeople are using the internet and these tools to their advantage to reach more people, to make more deals, to reach customers that are farther away. So all of those things are potential good things. Unfortunately, a lot of car salesmen have a very traditional approach to doing things, and some of them change very slowly. So, one of our tips is to make sure that you find a car salesperson that you feel comfortable dealing with and that you have a good level of trust with. But then, of course, verify everything independently yourself.
Yeah. No, but what I was saying, if you come in as a customer with your printed out financial information, you're trading appraisal and all that, I think that helps for the actual process, the whole process, no?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for one thing, it's a clear signal that you've done research. I was just talking with a friend here at Edmunds, and they just said, if you display a level of knowledge, then it's just like this guy knows what's going on. We're going to make a quick deal. We'll make a fair deal. We're going to move on, but there's going to be no game playing. When you sort of show that you don't know what's going on, then there can be problems.
Yeah. And then surprises down the road that can be very costly.
People hate surprises. They like to know as much as they can know before they go to the dealership, and then they like all of those figures to be, put in writing, and the deal will go smoothly. The problem with surprises, very often things will come up and they'll say, is this a problem or not? I don't know whether this is a big deal or not, and that's why it's very stressful for car buyers.
Yeah. A couple of more tips that Edmunds.com features here is failing to do a throughout test drive. And that's something very important, especially nowadays with so many new features, technology, safety things in new cars, huh?
Well, yeah, and also a byproduct of doing a lot of research is you can think that you know the car, but the car is a hands-on experience. And here's something that we've been talking about lately is everybody has a different body type. So
That's true.
Will you fit well and comfortably into the car? In fact, there are people, and we have several people on staff that have, lower back problems. So this is a very serious thing for them to make sure that the seats are tailored well to them, that are adjustable in just the right way. And it's sometimes, it's not an issue of the car being a good car or a bad car. It's, does the car fit you, or do you fit in the car?
Yeah.
And can it be adjusted properly so that you're very comfortable?
Yeah, especially with sports cars. I'm 5'8" and I weigh like 160, so I think they're made for me because I fit pretty good in most of them. But for most people, a little bit taller or a little bit with more weight than me, I mean, it's a problem. You have to really sit in the car and fit it, like if you were like fitting pants or clothing, right?
Yeah. To tell you the truth, I'm about the same size as you, except I weigh a little bit more. I'm sorry, but I find that I'm not really choosy about the feeling of the seats and all those things. I don't have back problems, but I've learned by talking to people that it can be very serious. And we have people that are like really high in the torso, and their head goes like right into the headliner. And also in some cases, if you have a sunroof, it lowers the ceiling of the roof even more to create room for the sunroof. So all of these issues, I mean, it's all solved by taking a good test drive, spending some time in the car, knowing what to look for, what's important to you, and then making sure that you do the test drive under relaxed circumstances, not being hurried. It doesn't hurt to take a checklist. Again, don't forget to look in the trunk. Don't forget to say, do I need to put a car seat in here?
Yeah, all the things that...
Don't forget...
all the things that you will normally do in a car. We're talking with Phil Reed, a senior consumer advice editor at Edmunds.com. And Phil, we're running out of time. We have like a minute or so. But the other tips that Edmunds.com puts in this list is visit more than one dealership. And that's pretty important because the price can vary a lot.
The variability of price in automobiles is just staggering. It can be $2,000 or $3,000, and we're not talking about negotiating that much. We're talking about asking prices. in a lot of cases can vary that much. And one quick way to negotiate is basically just to contact 3 different dealerships and just let them know that you're shopping around, and then they know that they're bidding against each other, and the price will, over 3, you'll see a lot of variation, and you could wind up getting a really, really good deal.
Yeah, and again, like the other thing is, like as you were saying, like feel comfortable with the person. So I mean that visiting a couple or 2, you might find a person you like better, and that maybe get a better deal too, right?
Oh, yeah, that's absolutely true. So while you're test driving the car, you can test drive the salesperson. And if you find the right person, it can be a very smooth process. And you need to trust your intuition.
Yeah.
And just say, am I comfortable? Am I relaxed? Are my questions being answered? Do I have a level of trust with this person? And if you choose the right person, it can go very smoothly.
Excellent. Again, Phil Reed, Senior Consumer Advice Editor at Edmunds.com, and the list is right there, right? Edmunds.com for everything, and that's where our audience can look for more information.
Very good.
Okay, thank you, Phil, and we'll post this on our Facebook page and everything so people can have it, okay?
It's a great pleasure, and call us anytime.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Okay.
Este programa fue una producción de National Latino Broadcasting.